let's talk about international travel with a toddler. Here are some tips to maintain your sanity. Hey guys, it's Joseph
and Tasha with One Big Happy Life, and we make videos about how to find balance, build wealth, and live your happy. So if you are all about creating a happy life that is uniquely yours, then this is your spot. Now, today we are going to be talking about traveling with a toddler because it's that time of year where people do tons of traveling.
We are also traveling over the holidays. Although this year we are taking a cruise, it's still international. And of course, last year we went to Singapore where we were on a flight with a much younger Reeves for 19 hours.
So it's two flights, but 19 hours total.
Next year, we're also taking 2 international trips. So we will be doing the same thing again with a little bit older Reeves. So
yeah, so we're sharing our top tips for traveling with your toddler, especially if you're traveling internationally or if you just have like a long travel thing going on, like maybe you're driving a really long distance or something like that. Number 1, try to time your flight around when your toddler would normally be sleeping, because obviously the last thing you want is a super active toddler racing up and down the plane. So if they were going to be sleeping anyway, like if it was an overnight flight, then that's perfect because the plane will be dark and they're more likely to sleep.
Also, let them wear their PJs. You want to try to encourage them to go ahead and sleep, and so making them as comfortable as possible with their normal outfits and things that they have to sleep will go a long way.
Yeah, if you check out our Singapore travel vlogs, which we'll link to down below, anytime when we are traveling on the planes, you will see Reeves is in a sleep and play the whole time. We just put shoes on on top of his sleep and play, and that was perfect.
Third, bring lots of toys or gadgets to entertain them. Now, one of the things that worked really well for us was a bunch of small toys. And so periodically we could say, oh, look, Reeves, here's this new thing. And so every 30 minutes or an hour, he was doing something brand new.
Yeah, the other thing was that he had his own Kindle Fire. And so we preloaded that with games and shows and movies that he had never seen before or some of his favorites. And back then, he was about 18 months old, so he hadn't been watching much television. So it may be good even if you limit screen time normally for travel, let them have as much screen time as they want to save your sanity.
Number 4, bring lots of snacks. Fortunately, airlines are very accommodating when it comes to food for younger children. So if you need to bring on juice or milk or those kinds of things, they are flexible about that. But you can't drink it yourself because that's a no-no.
So we actually didn't bring much in the way of liquids for Reeves because the airline that we were traveling on provided several meals and also unlimited drinks, including milk for children. So we were comfortable not bringing a whole bunch of stuff with us, but we did bring food. So we brought a lot of his favorite snacks, little finger foods to just keep him occupied if he wanted something to eat. We ended up also snacking a lot on our favorite snacky things, even though, again, so we flew Japan Airlines, love Japan Airlines. We were super economy class, but the service was just impeccable. So I would say balance what the airline offers with what your child prefers to have, and just make sure that you have a wide variety of snacks.
And definitely his go-to things, which Reeves was really into some of those fruit pouches, and we definitely had those. Yeah.
Next up, use nighttime diapers because you never know. So for us, we use the nighttime diapers. They hold more, right? They're like 12-hour wear. So we would use different diapers during the day than we would at night. So when we were traveling, we only used nighttime diapers just in case he fell asleep. And also we wanted him to be able to stay, if he was mellow enough to stay in his seat, we did not want to have to disturb him for a diaper change unless we absolutely had to.
Number 6, bring a travel stroller, especially one that reclines.
Yes, toddlers still nap, and if they're kind of upright, they're less likely to sleep for a long period of time. So you want it to recline.
And you're also not going to want to watch your kids sleep with a head like this. That's just not comfortable.
Yeah, we opted to go with the Zoe XLC when we went, and we really liked it. It folded up super easy, super small.
Yeah, but it felt folded up so well that we could bring it as a carry-on, and
Yes.
everybody that saw it was just, yeah,
Astonished.
just
Yeah, that it could
amazed.
fold down into the overhead compartments. And also, it's like that way you don't have to force your toddler to walk off the plane, which can slow everything down. Now, in American airports, that's less of a big deal. But one thing we noticed when we went to Asia, like people deplaned and onboarded super fast. And so you just can't be lollygagging there with your kid.
Number 7, buy your toddler their own ticket. And if they're very small, if you're a baby, bring their car seat onto the plane and just strap them in. It is so much easier for them to have their own space. Now, I know if you're on a really tight budget that you can hold a lap child up until they're 2 years old. But on a really long flight, international flights,
Yeah, you don't want to
you
do
will
that.
regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead
definitely.
and splurge for that. Yeah, we do that. We will have him in our lap. Now he's older, so he's over 2. So I guess he's still 2. So technically, we could not buy him his own seat. But he's just so active that it's just so much better to strap him down because he's comfortable sitting in his car seat. It's like being in a car, and so he's more likely to stay seated versus if he's in one of our laps, he's more likely to want to squirm and run off and be crazy. And yeah, the first hour of that, okay, but like when you're 5, 6, 10 hours in, you're gonna get really sick of your kid being on your lap squirming around.
Yep. Number 8, tag team it. Have one parent sleeping and have one parent on duty. Now, we had 3 people that could watch Reeves, and so our shifts were even shorter, and it worked out very, very well. I guess as best as it could, because ultimately big time zone shifts, you're gonna feel a little tired and you're gonna have jet lag. That just happens. But by being able to at least guarantee yourself some sleep on the plane, when you get to your final destination, you won't both just be dog tired with a cranky baby. One of you can handle it.
Tip number 9, you can try transitioning to your new time before you go. Another option is to do it on the plane, which that's what happened to us with as we were heading over to Japan because it was like a 12-hour time difference. So even though we got on the plane in the morning, it was technically in the middle of the night. Like we got on the plane at noon, which means it was midnight in Japan. So we got on the plane and they immediately acted like it was midnight. So the lights dimmed, the cabin got dark. And so that's how adults transition best, to just go ahead and make the switch in the middle of the flight. Now Reeves, that didn't work that great for him. It was during his nap time, so he slept at first. But the truth is, it took Reeves 3 days in Singapore to adjust to the new time zone. So we wish that we had started transitioning him a day or 2 before we even made the trip.
Number 10, let your toddler get out of their seat and walk and or run on their plane. As long as they're not bothering any other passengers, it is totally cool. Turbulence-free zones, obviously, for them to just get some energy out, move around. Because if you keep them strapped in for a whole 14 hours, they are going to start to hate it.
Yeah, so we would just walk up and down, back and forth, kind of like around where that little open area where the bathrooms are. We would let him walk around in circles over there. Another thing that we did was we would pick our feet up. And so he had the whole floor in front of our seats to kind of roll around and play around. Of course, if the fasten your seatbelt sign is on, they have to be buckled in. But if they're not, try to let them get that energy out of their system.
Number 11, similar vein, let them blow off some steam at the airport. So don't make them wait in line with you. Have a parent watch them and let them run around as much as they possibly can. Burn their energy off before you get on the plane. And if you have to change planes, let them run as much as possible, because they'll just be that much more tired and more likely to sleep, which will help you sleep on the plane and then also help them ultimately transitioning to a new time zone.
Now, the other thing is check your airport to see if the airport happens to have a kids' play zone, because some of them do. So just check that in advance. Tip number 12, and this is our final tip that really, really helped us out, is breastfeeding. Just because children will nurse for comfort, I actually made sure to keep breastfeeding specifically because I knew we were taking this trip to Singapore, and so that I wanted to be able to easily comfort Reeves and nurse him to sleep if necessary. And so breastfeeding just made the whole process so much easier. So if you have a toddler or you have like an infant and you're planning a trip for like your year and a half, 2 year toddler mark, you may want to not wean your baby just yet so that you can continue breastfeeding to make the traveling go a lot smoother.
All right, we hope you've enjoyed these tips and can put them to good use for some great travel.
All right, see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.